Good evening from Room 113, a comedy show conceived, written, produced, and performed in Arizona. Tonight's show is The Babbitt White House Years and is underwritten by the Phoenix Gazette, the fastest-growing afternoon newspaper in the country.
1989 to 1993, The Babbitt White House Years.
Good evening. With me tonight is the President of the United States, Bruce Babbitt. President Babbitt, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us tonight.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
On this, the last days of your administration, we would like to, look back over what has been one of the most unusual terms of office ever recorded. After you landed the nomination at the convention, one of the first things your party and the nation were surprised at was your choice for vice president. Could you tell us about that, please?
Well, yeah, that was my idea. And I thought a good one at the time, and I still do. Like a lot of Arizonans, I grew up watching Wallace and Ladmo, and...
Now, that's the long-running children's show, is it not?
Yes, that is correct. And I thought Mr. Ladmo was a perfect choice. He had a strong media background, like our previous president. He was used to being number two. Or, as you say in the show business, second banana. Anyway, he had wide base appeal, so it was only natural that we chose him.
Hi there, this is Patrick, and I would just like to say, Madam Chairperson, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my personal honor to introduce the next President of the United States, most of the time from the great state of Arizona. An honorable man, a man who is, well, let me just say, a man who is a prince. And looking around here at this convention hall with its dramatic vaulted ceilings and sunken conversation pits, it reminds me of the Lamar home that I once grew up in, and of course where I first met this gentleman. Now, I don't know about you delegates, but just once in a lifetime does a man come on the political scene or horizon of this stature. A man whose persona literally shouts, Mr. President. Why, even the pigeons respect his statue. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the next President of the United States, Governor Bruce Babbitt.
There he is, the winner of the Democratic nomination, former Arizona Governor Bruce Babbitt. What a shocker!
Yes, on the 32nd ballot of his brokered convention in Atlanta, Babbitt becomes the consensus candidate.
After 31 ballots, the superdelegates here banded together and selected Babbitt after divisive fights broke out between the Dukakis, Gore, Jackson, Simon, and Gephardt factions.
Look at that, hands raised in unison with his lovely wife, Hattie. Of course, up comes Ted Kennedy to congratulate him. Babbitt gives him a hug. Whoa! He almost got his arms all the way around him that time.
My God, Stewie, this is still an amazing political story and what has turned into an amazing political year. I mean, a man who had dropped out of the Democratic primaries early is drafted by the convention as a peacemaker.
Yes, it was after the airing of his very danceable rock video, Vote for Babbitt.
And he takes 49 states, and ironically, the only one that holds out is his home state of Arizona.
Well, then, I talked with the head of the Arizona delegation, Governor Rose Mofford. She said they basically forgot who he was. It seems he hasn't been in that state in more than 5 years.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but look at that down on the platform.
Why, yes, there's Babbitt's equally surprising running mate, Mr. Ladmo. He's bouncing onto the platform, handing what looks like a small can of peanut brittle to Teddy Kennedy. Why, Teddy's ripping the top off of that like he hasn't eaten in a month of Sundays.
Yep, that's peanut brittle, all right.
Oh, no, look at that. What would you call that? It looks like a can of foam rubber snakes or
it just
something.
Bounced right out of there.
Oh, what a kidder.
Well, look, I hate to cut you off again, but we're going to have to take a commercial break from our continuous coverage of the convention. We'll be back with a history of other clowns who have run for vice president. And we're back live with coverage of President-elect Babbitt's inauguration. Still, we have no idea when he will arrive, however.
That's right. This is the first time a president-elect has been more than 30 minutes late to his own inauguration in U.S. history.
On what has turned out to be probably the coldest day in Washington in more than 100 years.
Wait a minute. Chief Justice Meese is picking up the telephone.
Let's get a shotgun mic on this, see if we can pick up anything. Hello?
Hello, Chief Justice Meese.
Yes, who is this speaking?
This is President-elect Babbitt.
President-elect Babbitt?
You're supposed to be out here with us. It's freezing, and we've all been waiting for you.
Well, I've been watching you there on television.
You're watching us on television?
Yes, well, it's kind of cold. That's why I'm not out there. I personally think we should move the whole thing to Arizona.
But sir, we can't do that. We're all waiting for you.
Hattie and I are here in the White House where it's nice and warm. We've got the Bible. I've got my right hand raised.
Sir, what are you trying to tell me? You want to be sworn in on the phone?
I think it's best.
Sir, I really don't think the Constitution will allow this.
Well, I'm sure they didn't have telephones back then, so they didn't feel the need to write it into the Constitution, but I think it will be okay.
Well, sir, this is highly unusual, but it's really cold out here, so let's give it a shot.
Okay, let's go for it.
Well, sir, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
I will faithfully execute.
The office of the President of the United States.
The office of the President of the United States.
And will to the best of my ability.
And will to the best of my ability.
Now, whose idea was it to use the rock video format as a campaign tool?
Well, once again, that was my idea. I thought, what a wonderful way to reach the youth. Good old rock and roll. I remember when I was marching in Selma in the 60s, listening to the Jefferson Airplane. And besides, Grace Slick was and is a close personal friend of Hattie and I. And she also is a member of the Smoke Eye People.
Smoke Eye People, Mr. President. What is that?
Well, it's an organization of us businessmen, and we get together, dress up in Indian garb, and dance with a live snake in our mouth. It's a very ceremonial thing that we pass down from generation to generation. It's just a wonderful thing that we do. And if you have the chance, I think you'd really like it. Come on up and dance with a live snake in your mouth.
Well, I'd look forward to it, sir.
Well, anyway, back to the question about the... I kind of built my presidency on rock and roll.
Okay, this is take 37, Babbitt. Anytime, Governor.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah, that's why he's playing the guitar, yeah.
Oh, okay. One bill gets through Congress, and one bill is on the floor. And the one that John McCain gives you don't go anywhere at all. Go ask Babbitt. You'll feel 10 feet tall. Patty, give me my snake. I'm into it now. And when logic and proportion are driven from your head, and Republicans are talking backwards, and George Bush's tie is still red, vote for Bruce Babbitt. That's what I said. Oh, rocket baby, yeah, yeah. And if you vote for Bruce Babbitt... No, stop. Oh, okay. And if you vote for Bruce Babbitt, he'll help clear away the clouds from that conservative arms race crowd. But remember what Ron Reagan said. Better dead than red. Oh, better dead than red. Better dead than red. Better red than dead. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best one so far.
Now, Mr. President, could you tell us what it was like the first time you entered the White House after, 8 years of a Reagan presidency? Any anecdotes you could relay to the listening audience?
Why, yes. I remember when Hattie and I went up to the White House attic and found a footlocker that was left by the previous tenants. Hattie, come on up here. This must be the attic. Bring a flashlight.
Oh, this place is dusty. I always wondered what was... Bruce, would you please stop playing with that door?
Okay.
I'm glad we decided to take this unescorted tour of the place.
Well, just remember now...
I know. It was your idea.
Yes, I guess you're right, dear. It doesn't look like there's anything up here.
No, wait a minute. What's that there in the corner?
Oh, well, it looks like a footlocker.
Oh, I love an adventure. Let's look in it.
Okay, let me see if I can get this thing open here.
Who do you think it belongs to?
Well, I don't know.
Bruce,
Yeah?
stop playing with that footlocker.
Okay. Don't have a cow.
Look, it's full of Reagan memorabilia.
Oh, gosh, I thought the Reagans had taken everything with them.
Apparently not. What's this?
Well, let's see. A postcard from Tehran.
The weather's here. Wish you were beautiful. Ollie.
You know, it sounds like code. Look at this one here. A signed picture of Mr. Reagan holding a chimpanzee.
To Ronnie from Bonzo. You're my favorite second banana.
Oh, you know, honey, I don't feel good about this. I feel like we're, trespassing. Don't you think we should leave this here and call the Reagans so they can, come and pick it up?
No, of course not.
Oh, okay. I guess you're right, dear.
This is a virtual Reagan library.
Oh, look at this one here. A plane tickets made out for William Casey. Oh, and they're one-way tickets.
Be careful with that sheet of yellowing paper. It looks like it's about to crumble.
Oh, yes, dear. Oh, wow. A list of potential vice presidential candidates for 1980.
Sinatra, Bob Hope, Ford, Phyllis Schlafly, Curtis LeMay, Wallace of the Wallace and Ladmo Show?
You know, I always thought Mr. Wallace was a Republican.
What's in this box? Campaign buttons. These must be the typos. Reagan and Bish, Reagan and Bash, Reagan and Bosch. What have you got in that stack?
Well, let's see here. We got a road map to Nicaragua, a half-used bottle of Dr. Coop's polyp remover, and a diary of Mr. Reagan's. But you know, Hattie, it doesn't look like his handwriting.
Nancy's?
Could be.
Well, that's about all there is, except for that book. What is it? War and Peace?
No, dear. No. It's the payment book on the national debt.
Put that away. We've
Okay.
got to practice our smoke-eyed dance before Mrs. Thatcher arrives.
Okay, dear. Yes, dear. You're always right, dear.
Hiya. Please, Bruce, with more conviction.
Okay. Hiya.
Well, certainly no other president had a more unusual first 100 days in office. Why, one of your first acts was to get rid of Air Force One and start flying commercial airlines. Could you explain that, sir?
Well, yes. And by the way, that was another one of my ideas.
I thought it was, yes.
I thought with the budget deficit, it was important to save taxpayer money. And when I found out it would be cheaper to fly commercial than on Air Force One, my decision was easy to make. I also felt that we had to restore the American public's trust in commercial airlines, and what better way to do it than by having the Commander-in-Chief entrust his schedule to American, Eastern, Delta, etc. Besides, what a great way to meet the public.
But, sir, if I could pursue this, what about the frequent flyer controversy that has overshadowed your term in office?
Well, that is still in litigation. The Supreme Court has yet to rule on that. All I can say is that I feel the bonus miles belong to Hattie and I.
Even though the taxpayers bought the tickets, sir?
Why, well, yes. They may have bought the tickets, but I flew the flights. I had to eat the airline food. Actually, I think it saved the taxpayers money in the long run.
Well, the accounting is still out on that. To change the subject, sir, then there was your appearance on the Academy Awards show, becoming the first sitting president to award an Academy Award to a former president. What an occasion, what a memory, huh?
Yes, that I will always remember, even though that wasn't my idea.
Welcome back to the Dorothy Chandler, Arizona Pavilion and the 64th Annual Academy Awards. Here is previous Best Supporting Actor recipient Jack Nicholson to present the presenters for this year's Best Supporting Actor.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, you're too kind. And now, for the presentation of the award for Best Supporting Actor, last year's winner and a lovely leading lady, Jake LaMotta and Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
Thank you, Jack. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, Doc Ruth.
And thank you, Jake. And now the nominees. The nominees are Jack Lemmon for Biscuits for Bobby. 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 Jack Lemmon for Biscuits for Bobby.
Howard Hesseman for Private Lessons 11.
That's Private Lessons 2.
Oh, yeah, Private Lessons number 2.
Dustin Hoffman for A Man for All Legions.
Alf for The Return of the Empire Striking Back during Star Wars.
Vote for me! Ronald Reagan in The Nancy Reagan Story.
And the winner is...
Ronald Reagan for The Nancy Reagan Story.
Ha! It was rigged! Get my attorneys on the phone! And now, to present the award to former President Ronald Reagan, a special guest, President Bruce Babbitt.
Let's talk about Hattie, one of the more, well, unusual first ladies, and I say this with all due respect, sir. What can you tell us about her controversial remodeling ideas for the White House?
Well, that was mostly Hattie's idea. But I did give her a lot of input.
It was your idea then?
Well, yes. Basically, I believe it was my idea.
I see.
It goes back to her childhood and her concern for water conservation. I mean, she wanted something to be synonymous with while being First Lady. I mean, Rosalind Carter had her thing. Betty Ford did her thing. Nancy Reagan, you know, she had her campaign against drugs. So the water conservation thing became Hattie's idea. And I just think, you know, you might want to agree with me. The colored rocks and plaster lawn statues are quite tastefully done in the front of the White House. And the thing that I'm quite proud of is that we reduced the water bill 61% while we were in office.
I believe it was closer to 60%, but you mentioned the colors of the lawn. Describe, if you will, the colors of the gravel that now cover the entire area in front of the White House.
Well, let me try to remember here. It's been a while since I've been at the White House. I think there's like natural purple, flamingo pink, and of course sedentary green. I just think it's marvelous, and I'm very proud of my Hattie.
Very much like the painted desert, if I remember.
Yes. That's always been one of my favorite paintings.
Now, highlights from your term would certainly have to include the famous Gaddafi broadcast. Whatever made you decide to appear on that TV program, sir?
Well, I guess that was, no, that wasn't my idea. Yes, it was. If you remember, in about 1989, coffee prices were going through the roof. There was tension everywhere. It was at terrorist level. People didn't have their caffeine. People were on edge, hoarding the stuff, so I thought it would be a good idea to help ease the tension. And if you remember, it helped a great deal.
Yes, it helped the coffee creamer lobby, if I remember. Another thing that comes to mind, one of your first statements as president was not to use food as a weapons speech that you're so well known for.
Yes. That was definitely my idea, too.
Good morning, Libya. Welcome to Coffee with Gaddafi. I am your host and dictator, Muammar. And as always, we're coming to you live from atop beautiful bombed-out Tripoli towers in the heart of beautiful bombed-out Tripoli. Today's program is a good one because you'll get to see me intimidate the leader of the second most powerful nation on this earth. But first, a very special guest, a man who I personally hired to design the flag of this great land of ours. My personal friend and one heck of a graphic artist, Rihad Muhammad. Welcome to the show, Ree.
Thank you. It is a great honor to appear with you.
You're telling me. But seriously, describe our country's flag for those who have never seen its great simplistic beauty.
Yes. It is sedentary green.
Yes. Well, that does pretty much describe it. Thank you for traveling hundreds of miles across the desert just to share that with me. It is green. Only Ree would choose just the right words. Well, no matter. Now, let us meet the President of the United States of America.
Well, thank you, Muammar. That's a very attractive flag. I really like the color. It reminds me of the front yard at the White House. I want to thank you for your cooperation in solving the coffee embargo, and to reciprocate for your great hospitality over here. I would like you to join Hattie and I in Prescott, Arizona. I'm sure you've heard of it.
It's near Schenectady?
Close. And join Hattie and I, and the Smoke Eye people, and dance with a live snake in your mouth. I think you'll like it. We enjoyed it a lot.
Excuse me, Mr. President, if I could just interrupt here for just a second. Mr. Gaddafi, Pat McMahon, I'm sure you've heard of me. I would have to say that after spending just about the shortest amount of time as possible in your country, I would have to say that you and your people have got just a little bit of the blarney in you. Now, haven't you? Huh? You can't kid a kidder. Just a little bit of the old Irish, huh? It must be O. Gaddafi, or possibly Mick Gaddafi.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, you rascal, you. Don't try and hold out on old Patrick. I can spot a Mick a mile away, buddy.
Well, I can see by the hands on the digital clock that it's time for another show to end. Please tune in tomorrow when our guest will be David Hartman.
When Irish eyes are shining.
Now, a lot of people accused you of pork barreling the copper industry, an important cog in your state's economy. How would you answer those charges, sir?
I don't know what you're talking about. Pork barreling is...
Well, you know what I mean. The term pork barreling goes back a number of years when politicians would place unnecessary programs paid for by the government in their home districts or states to prop up the local economy.
Oh, well, yes. Well, I think... I don't think it's pork barreling at all to remember where you came from and to support the people who supported you. You know, we had the Susan B. Anthony slug.
The dollar, you mean the Susan B. Anthony dollar?
Oh, yes, whatever. And it was my idea, once again, to bring back the real copper penny. I thought it might help Arizona a little bit. You must admit the 1 pound penny was quite successful.
It was a little tough on vending machines, but yes, it was a big success.
So I figured, why not? Because we're proud of our state, Arizona. Hattie and I grew up there. We went to the Great Canyon many times, hiking the trail.
Sir, you mean the Grand Canyon?
Well, yes, it was. It was.
Now, if I could pursue this a little further, don't you think the copper plating of the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, I could name probably half a dozen famous monuments with copper, was a little too much?
Well, no. It was a good way of pigeon-proofing, and, well, yes, that was my idea, too, and I defend it wholeheartedly.
I thought so. Now, another milestone in your presidency would have to be the Superpower Summit in outer space on the United Nations space platform. What can you tell us about Mr. Gorbachev?
Well, I'm glad I went up there to meet him. That was one of my better ideas. Mikhail Gorbachev, we got along famously. We got a lot of work done. As I like to call him, it's, I guess, a little bit of space humor, I guess. I called him Mikey. Well, anyway, one of the things I'm most proud of is I didn't get space sick, and Mikey did.
I'm sure that will appear in the history books at some point.
Oh, by the way, I got a lot of bonus miles on that trip.
I see. However, a lot of people said that meeting was just indicative of your frequent absence from this country during your presidency. Why, of your 4 years in office, you have only been in the country for about, 7 weeks? You rarely meet with the press. What's your rationalization for this?
Well, what was my reason for this?
Yes.
Jet lag, I guess.
Well, now, the big question on everyone's mind, why the decision not to seek a second term?
Well, I like a real challenge. I was talking about this with Jimmy Carter the other day. We were sanding down a chair in his wood shop, and I've been president for 4 years, and, well, I need to move up.
Just a minute, Mr. President. What else is there after being president?
Well, that is what I've stayed up nights wondering about. I finally come up with the answer. I believe it's the only place to go.
Good evening and welcome to Late Night. I'm Ted Koppel. We now switch you to our Washington correspondent, Fred Grandy.
Thank you, Ted. A very surprising announcement was made here at the White House today that President Bruce Babbitt will not run for re-election. Rumors abound that President Babbitt is seeking a higher office, and he felt he could not afford to lose the upcoming election for president.
Fred?
Ted?
This is Ted. Fred, are you there?
Ted, I can hear you.
Yes, any speculation as to his plans? I mean, what higher office is there?
Well, Ted, an anonymous source here at the White House told me that President Babbitt may be seeking the recently vacated papacy.
In Rome?
Is the Pope Catholic?
Oh, well, yes, of course he is. Let's switch to our Rome correspondent, Ed Braggart, who's standing by in St. Peter's Square.
Thank you, Ted. This is Ed in St. Peter's Square, where the College of Cardinals are currently congregated in the cloister. The crowd is cautiously concerned over the outcome, which will name the head of the Roman Catholic Church. Oh, wait a minute, Ted. What? There's smoke coming out of the holy chimney. It smells like mesquite. Back to you, Ted.
Thank you, Ed and Fred. I have Ted Kennedy and Tip O'Neill with me here on our flight to Miami. Gentlemen, put simply, who is the front runner for the Democratic nomination?
Well, if I may speak for Tip and myself, I would say obviously the incumbent vice president, Mr. Ladmo.
Tip, as I can see by your 3-foot-long pink polka dot tie and top hat, you've certainly been influenced by the vice president. What is your reaction to this development?
Well, my reaction is what this country needs is a good 5-minute cartoon. Here, have a moon pie, Ted.
Next year, with any luck, I'll be running for Pope.
The Catholic Church?
Oh, yes, of course. I've always liked St. Petersburg. The weather's warm.
Sir, with all due respect, I believe you're thinking of St. Peter's Square. It's in Rome, in Italy.
Well, they're both next to the ocean. It's a good gig. I get to wear a great hat. I don't have to worry about running for re-election. It's a lifetime thing. I think it's for me. Besides, as you know, I like to ascend to things.
Now, how will this affect Hattie?
Well, I guess the best way to put it is, it's one of those, Hattie, I've got good news, I've got bad news.
Final question, sir. Will you be endorsing your vice president, Mr. Ladmo, as a candidate?
Oh, yes, definitely. He's been a good man, a lot of fun. He's good with the kids. He's got a neat van. And the tie industry is behind him 100%. He's always been good for laughs. Many days when I was blue from all the heavy decisions of being president, there was nothing that would ease the tensions for me than watching that string bean of a guy have to bend over so that the rotor blades of the helicopter wouldn't chop off his top hat. I laugh every time I think about it to this day.
Yes, sir. That's something we'll all remember, I suppose. And Mr. President, before you go, we have something special for you. We have someone on the telephone who wanted to speak with you.
Hello?
Hello there. Who's this?
Hello?
This is Richard Nixon calling, Bruce.
Oh, geez, for a moment there I thought it was me.
That's what I thought. I was just calling to see how your last days in office were going. I'm calling you from St. Petersburg, by the way, here. I'm at the Denny's, and Pat and I just got done having a couple of those grand slams. Boy, are those a bargain or what?
Well, fine. But, how are your last days going?
Fine, Bruce. Can't complain. No one's kicking me. I'm just writing my memoirs, and I was wondering if you could check something for me.
Sure. What is it?
Well, I was just recalling the time that Spiro stuck some gum under my desk as sort of a prank. And, well, I couldn't remember if it was on the left side or the right side. Could you check that for me?
Sure. Hold on a minute. Dick, it was on the right side. Kind of appropriate since he was a Republican, huh? It looks like double mint to me.
Double mint. I would have thought it was juicy fruit, but Bruce, that's very funny. Listen, Bruce, I just wanted to call and say job well done.
Well, Dick, thank you. One more thing. I would like to invite you and Pat up to Prescott, Arizona to join Hattie and myself with the Smoke Eye people. And I want you to have a lot of fun dancing with a live snake in your mouth.
Oh, sure. Looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Well, okay. We'll be looking forward to it, too.
Thanks for calling, and we'll talk to you later, Mr. President.
Well, sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Okay. Goodbye.
Mr. President, it's been a pleasure, and good luck.
Well, thank you. It's been great to be here. I have to run now. I have to catch a flight. And so, goodbye, and thanks for having me. Thank you for listening to Room 113, which was underwritten by the Phoenix Gazette and produced by ARC Productions in association with KJZZ. The Babbitt White House Years was written and performed by Mark Allen, Joe Corcoran, Ben Tyler, Dean Rhodes, D. Scott Dixon, Mike Sterner, and Kathy Pappas. Next week in Room 113 will be a cup of coffee, a sandwich, and you. Blue skies and green lights.